Hi everyone, this is Lotus with Lotus Lindley, Art of Sacred Embodiment. So I wanted to come on here today to have a little chat about frequencies, raising the frequencies, and anchoring the frequencies into the physical form. So, so we're often, as we know right now, we're on the ascension trajectory. Those of us who are working consciously with the ascension energies, we're aware that things are just going to be picking up in 2020 and that we're continuously given the opportunities to open and to really receive many of the downloads of higher frequency information that then anchor into our system to help to support our vibratory rate at raising to a whole new level, right? So as that happens, the higher frequencies help us to cultivate and to express higher emotional states or states of being that lift us more into joy, freedom, peace. You guys have heard all of this, I know, before. More playfulness, more levity, more faith and trust. So what I want to talk about is we are getting the opportunity to receive these activations all the time. Just because they're coming into our field does not necessarily mean that we are anchoring them into our field. And part of the anchoring process is creating your sacred technology, right? So that it is able to hold the level of resonance coming in and sustain it. So oftentimes we can hit these periods of, really high highs and bliss, and we're sort of in that love state. We're feeling the expansion as we stick our toes, so to speak, upward into it's not literally upward, but that's just, makes more sense to talk about it like that. Into the 5D or above, right? Those higher frequency ways of living. So we can peek into there, but unless we're actually anchoring those frequencies into our consciousness and sustaining it, okay, we're not going to be able to start living more and more consistently from those higher expressions. So how do we start to anchor this in? First of all, when we're getting the energies in, it's really helpful to have a modality in that is helping you to bring it into your system, to bring these energies in through your physical form, to bring it down into your body, and to help clear out whatever old stories, patterns, density is no longer needed. So the light frequencies will start to do that, but then our job is we cannot go backwards. Okay, so we can't go back to the old ways, because as soon as we do that, we're kind of kicking out those higher frequencies that are trying to assist us by using, we could say, our will, or falling back into old outmoded patterns and not utilizing our conscious awareness and will to make the changes that we can tell are trying to be made inside. So the other things that we have to start to take into account is that as we hit these higher levels, our system has to adjust. So we're gonna elevate, and then we're probably gonna come down a little bit. And as we come down, let yourself sleep. Let yourself listen to what your body needs to eat. What does it need? How much water does it need? Let it get outside. Let it get in the sunshine. And rest. Because that's actually when the energies are taking root and anchoring, when we're resting. So we can think about it as when we're resting, the whole system opens up and it becomes more spacious. It's the same thing with life force energy. The life force energy is going to be able to flow through our body more fully and efficiently the more relaxed we are, the more open we are, the more receptive we are. If we get an activation, so I often tell my clients, after you have a session with me, try to set the rest of the day aside or time aside so that you can take a nap if you need to, take take a bath with Epsom salts, get outside, go out under the trees, do whatever you can that's going to continue to amplify that work. If you go right into work, go right into the mind, go right into that nervous system kicking back up, you're not going to be able to receive that activation as fully. And instead of maybe next leveling, it's going to keep you at this little status quo. Okay? So the other thing to remember about when we're working with frequencies is that there are going to be times as you anchor more energy into your system, it may feel like it's too much. It may feel like you're getting very disoriented, you have a lot of dizziness. It may feel like you're losing your memory. It may feel discombobulating. It's important not to worry about this. And the more that you go through this, the more that we're all going through this, we're kind of learning what the new norm is. And not to fall off track, but to keep moving, because our system needs to be able to acclimate to the new levels of consciousness. And sometimes as those new levels of consciousness are anchoring in and we are transforming from the old way, the discombobulation, the dizziness, the haziness, the tiredness, the confusion, all of that is normal, right? Maybe we get a little weepy, we start to feel grief or loss. All of that is normal. So we don't want to be labeling any of these things as, wrong or bad, or we have to stop them or get away from them, because they're actually helping to solidify the process. Okay? Everybody is going to have their own different experiences, and we're all going to be able to recognize our cycles, our own rhythms and cycles, and how they show up. So, for instance, you might begin to realize that you start to get a headache at the same time or around the same time every day, and it's happening for a few days in a row, or maybe a week in a row. Okay? What is happening is that you're getting downloads. You can start to measure it because it's coming in cycles, right? So what do you want to do when that happens? You want to go rest. You want to go just find quiet time. You don't necessarily want to be watching TV, watching movies. If you are, you don't want them to be disturbing or violent. I mean, I don't believe we want to do that anymore anyway, because those are denser frequencies. But particularly when you're downloading, because you want to be able to receive those highest frequencies and meet them with a receptive container resonance, right, of that and those expressions. Sorry, I think my dog is looking for his ball. Those expressions, so that they can actually come all the way in and integrate into your system. And then you'll notice that probably after a week, all of a sudden you're feeling great. You may have download time where you feel like, boom, you're discombobulated, you're out of it, and then you start to feel like you're super energized, and maybe you have a lot of inspiration coming through, a lot of clarity, and then you might drop again into sort of more of a lulling state where maybe you're not as motivated, right? Even though you thought you were going to be motivated, you're not as motivated. That's okay. Follow the organic rhythm of what is coming through you until you start to learn how you operate, how your system operates, so that you can then function at the highest optimal, what do I want to say? With the highest optimal intuitive knowing of your inner journey, because this is an inner journey, right? There's so many subtleties and so many nuances. And I think recently I posted a video about that, and how as we're moving up into more of a unified state, we're going to be letting go of a lot of the drama and the attachments of duality and polarity. And when that starts to happen, we might feel maybe a little disconnected. We might feel a little maybe even numbed out. We might feel kind of apathetic and really not understand why. It's because everything is readjusting and recalibrating to its very temporary but new next leveling of functioning. And then you'll hit a plateau perhaps for a little bit, depending on how quickly you're wishing and moving through your ascension journey. And then when the next energies start coming in, we kind of start all over again. And, you know, for every new level we reach, it's going to have a different flavor. I'm finding over and over that it's consistently the same and then some. Okay? So these are just ways to recognize that when you're working with the energy, when you're working with raising your frequency, we are needing to attune to what we are being attuned to. So we're meeting what's coming to us. We're allowing that guidance to lead the way. We're allowing the body, what is being released and what is integrating and what is activating, to be our teacher. We're not coming from up here, but you're following and heightening and attuning your own intuitive wisdom along this journey. And as you do this, you will most likely be reaching a whole other way of experiencing your life that's going to have so much more positivity in it, and ease and grace. You know, that seems to be the best catchwords these days. Ease and grace, balance and harmony. Life no longer has to be hard. And that's an old story, and that's an old program that we are getting to let go of, but we have to choose to let go of it. And by choosing to follow where the harmony and balance is leading us. Now, granted, this is going to be easier the more that you clear out your density, right? You'll know when you've got to clear, when you've got to readjust, when you've got to let go of the old, when you're starting to feel not so great. So the not so great is the indicator that it's time to release and let go, or stop behaviors, remove yourself from environments, step back from relationships, friendships for a while, take a break maybe from a lot of more dense, heavy, fear-based, scarcity-based, negative energies, or at least make sure that you are fortified and that you are able to hold your own center and not get pulled down into the fray. So I hope that this is helpful. I do these periodically on an update, kind of like how can we really work with these energies, because this is the next level of mastery. But first, we have to understand the subtleties, and that just so happens to be one of my specialties, is understanding these very subtle nuances that go on within our psyche and within our physical bodies and within our emotions and mental states and patterning. So with that, I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day or evening whenever you're watching this, and I hope that this is helpful. You can follow me on Facebook if you're not already, and that will be either under Lotus Lindley or Lotus Lindley at Art of Sacred Embodiment, and on my website, lotuslindley.net. All right. Have a lovely, bye-bye.